Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith, Kitchen, as always. And today being Wednesday, I thought we'd do some cooking together, like we do every Wednesday. And today, I'm not feeling quite up to par. I actually fell and busted my butt and back pretty good. And so I can't really stand for long periods of time. And I'm taking enough medicine to kill a small country. But I still want to cook. I would never miss an opportunity to cook with you guys on Wednesdays. I thoroughly enjoy it. So that being said, tonight we're going to do a vegetable beef soup. Not a hard dish, not by any means. Does require some prep work. Although I think some of this stuff you could actually buy already pre-diced, but what fun is that, really? So like I said, just all in all, a vegetable beef soup just is something that you prep up your used vegetables with stuff. It's it's a good way to clear out your fridge, if nothing else. If you got some carrots hanging around, lingering, some celery, some potatoes in your storage that are starting to getting ready to head south, so to speak. Good way to use those up. Yeah, it's a good way to clean out your inventory and get you some fresh. And it's good. I mean, I've made vegetable soup a million times, but I've never put beef in it, although it's pretty straightforward. And I think, like I said, I think this will be good. I got my original recipe off of, I don't remember, but I'll put it in the link or I'll have it right below me. I did make some modifications though to it. Vegetable soup in and of itself, you put whatever vegetables you like in it, and not anything else. And we're just pretty much adding beef. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. If this is your first time, I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you get something out of this video and many of our others, or my others. I'm the only one really in them, other than my daughter Abby. If you're returning, thank you. I'm glad you're coming back. And if you've subscribed recently, thank you. It means that I'm doing something right. That you like me enough you want to hear me at least every once in a while. Hopefully every week, but at least every once in a while. Thumbs up, thumbs down. They help do a couple things. They let me know how I'm doing. Either you either liked it, you didn't, or you're trolling me. Either way, it's okay. I'll take it. It also puts us out into the algorithm, right? And lets other people see us on their feed, and then our neighborhood grows, and we can be good communities and neighbors based on food. Food makes everybody happy, and everybody needs to eat. Comments, I'll take them all. I respond to as many as I can, if not all of them most of the time. And all I ask is you be nice. It's okay to disagree. That's fine. I have no problems with anybody ever disagreeing with anything I do or the way I do my channel. It's okay. Be kind. When you think before you type. That's all I ask. It'll get you in trouble in the long run. And get you banned from the channel. So, that being said, let's get down to the counter, and I'm going to do something a little old school, and we'll introduce all the players of the game first, and then we'll start cooking, all right? See you at the counter. We're down here at the counter. Well, in this case, the stovetop. You're on the counter, so that kind of worked out that way. And as always, if you're new to my channel, first thing I do on every video, whether we're baking or cooking, is move the camera. But I write my recipe down in my notebook. I've got that many dinner recipes so far. I mean, a bunch of them that we've all cooked together. And if we like it, or we think we can make something of it, we keep it. If we don't, we just tear it out and throw it out. To introduce the things you'll need, you will need a stock pot with a lid. So we will need a lid for this. As far as ingredients go, and I'll tell you again as we go, but I've got 1.5 to 2 pounds of stew meat, or in this case, I had a pot roast, a good round chuck roast that I wanted to cut up and use, so I'm using that. Stew meat can be weird at times. We also have 2.5 tablespoons of virgin olive oil right here, which you'll need 2.5 tablespoons, and we're going to divide them. 1.5 tablespoons to use to do the meat with, and 1 tablespoon to do our vegetables with. We also got some salt and pepper. Here's my salt. I don't see my pepper. And we're going to coat this beef with it, and then we'll add it for flavoring, just salt and pepper. And when I add for flavoring, I usually start with 1/4 teaspoon of each. We also have 1 medium to large chopped onion. Chop it to what size you like. That's completely up to you. That's the beauty of stews. I also have another onion in reserve in case I feel it's not enough. The next thing we have is 3 carrots, 3 medium-sized carrots right here. Chopped to your favorite likeness, thick, thin. These are the bigger parts were halved. The smaller parts are whole, because that's the way we like them. We got 3 medium celery stalks, and I just rough chopped them right there. And then to that, we also have, this has got quite a bit of stuff, 4 to 5 cloves of minced garlic. We have got 8 cups of beef broth right there, which is 2 containers. Each one's a quart. A quart's 4 cups. So we got 8 cups right there. We got, it calls for 2 14-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. I don't have 2 14-ounce cans, but I do have 1 28-ounce can, so we're going to use that. It's the same thing. We're also going to add some basil, some oregano, dried, not powdered, but dried, and some dried, not powdered thyme. We have 1 pound of red potatoes. You could also use yellow potatoes. You could even use russet baking potatoes. Whatever potato you have handy, whatever potato you like, is what you should be using. I've got I've got those chopped into about 3/4 to 1/2 inch hash brown size cubes. We have 1 1/2 cups of green beans. Now you can use frozen green beans, you can use fresh green beans. I have jarred green beans that I have yet to try, and I really want to try them. So I'm going to add about 1 1/2 cups, about 15 ounces of green beans. You want 1/2 cup of frozen corn and 1 cup of frozen peas. I got them sitting over here in the bag still. I'll measure them out as we go. Peas, and corn. And you could actually, I've done quick vegetable soup with all this stuff frozen. And then I have an addition of 1 jalapeno and 1 poblano chopped up in here. Neither pepper, well, jalapenos can be hot, but these are de-seeded, deveined. Slice the ribs out of it, and that way we get the flavor, not so much the heat. We don't really want the heat. All right, so I've introduced all the players, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do in our stock pot is we're going to turn it on about medium-high heat, and we're going to add just a tablespoon of oil to start with. Okay, get that in there, about a tablespoon, and if you want to measure it out, you can. And then we're going to take our meat. Once that gets nice and hot, once it starts smoking, we'll take our meat and put it in there. Meanwhile, I'm going to go find my pepper real quick, and then we can salt and pepper the meat. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I found the pepper. It was hiding in a cabinet. Normally it sits right here by the stove. All right, so we'll take our meat. We're going to take some salt. Just a pinch. I mean, unless you like a lot of salt, we'll throw that on there. And we'll take our pepper and do the same. Just like such. Maybe a little more. There we go. And it's going to be simply just to, give the meat some flavor. And the salt will tenderize it while it sits here. Even just that few minutes will help tenderize it a little for when we put it in with the oil. Our oil's starting to crackle. I'm starting to see a little shimmer around the edges. I can smell it. We got some smoke going, so I'm just going to throw this meat in here, and we're going to cook it for about 4 minutes total. Now, you don't want to crowd your meat, so do it in a couple different, settings. Do like half the meat. We're going to do half the meat, get this good and seared. It doesn't have to be cooked all the way through, because it's going to cook in this pot for a good little bit, but we want to get that sear on it. So let it cook for about a minute or so, then, give it the meat a good flip, pair of tongs, spoon, whatever you have. Get the other side, and then we'll move on to what to do next. Be right back. Okay, so we got our meat seared. My house smells like I've been cooking steak. It smells fantastic. I can't argue it, not one bit. So the next thing we got to do is we get this meat out. Maybe. And if I don't get it all out, it's okay. It'll just add flavor. We're going to go ahead and now we used 1.5 tablespoons of our 2.5 tablespoons of oil for the meat. So I'm going to put 1 more tablespoon in there, just for fun. And to this, we are going to add all kinds of goodies. We're going to add our onions. Now we're still cooking at a medium-high heat. Yeah, so about 4.5, 5. At least that's medium-high for me. We're going to add our celery. So we got our medium to large onion. We've got our 3 things of celery. We've got our 3 things of carrots. And we're going to add in our peppers. All right, our 3 carrots, our 3 celery, our 1 medium large onion. I got 1 jalapeno and 1 poblano in here. And we're just going to cook these down. We're going to saute them for about 3 minutes. Okay, so first of all, I just realized that you guys aren't really down in the pot. Sorry about that. But we've let these saute or cook down for about 3 minutes. And they smell as wonderful as everything else did. To this, I'm going to add my 4 cloves of minced garlic. I mean, you don't have to mince them. That's just my choice. You can chop these. You can put them in whole, halves, quarters. However you like garlic is the way you should do it. Soup is an amazing thing for the most part, especially just standard soups like this one. You can add whatever you like, take away whatever you like, put more of, less of. You know, it's what do you and your family like. All right, so let this cook down for a minute. Okay, we got it cooked down for a minute. I can smell the garlic. I know it's doing its job now. It's awake. It's alive. It's rocking. So now we're going to add our diced tomatoes, which was 28 ounces or 2 14-ounce cans. In this case, we'll give that a good stir in, just like such. We're going to add in our 8 cups of beef broth, or 2 32 ounces, 64 ounces of beef broth. There is that. And the original recipe called for a low sodium beef broth. Now, if you like salt, you know, then it's something you can have. Get the regular beef broth. This is regular beef broth. That way I don't have to add as much salt to it. Beef broth is probably the one thing I don't make on my own. I do my own chicken broth, veggie broth, but I just don't do a beef broth. Give that a good stir, like such. Shut that up. We're going to go ahead and get our meat back in there, our cooked meat. And you want to, you know, the plate you put that meat back on, you want to keep those juices. You want those in there. It gives it flavor. And then we will go ahead and add our spices. Now, first thing we need is 1.5 teaspoons of our basil. We'll go 1.5. And they don't have to be precise. Then we're going to follow that up with 1 gram of oregano. Let's say you like a little more than the other. And you'll find out, like, as I taste this for flavoring as it cooks, I may add more stuff to it. You know, I may go, oh, next time I'm not going to put this in there. And we got our 1 teaspoon of basil, and then we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. And then I got to thinking about it as I was heating up the meat. I would really like to see a bay leaf in there. And if you have a market near you, like we have an Amish store near us, spices are so much cheaper there, and you can get most things whole. This big container of bay leaves, it was 85 cents compared to getting a small thing at the grocery store. So I just need to put 1 in there because they are ginormous bay leaves. And then we'll give this a good stir, like such. Good stir. There we are. And now we're going to bring this up to a boil. All right. Once we get it to a boil, we're going to stick our lid on it. And we're going to turn it down to a simmer. So it's just simmering. That's lightly bubbling, not heavily bubbling. And then we'll let that cook for 30 minutes. So let me let this cook for 30 minutes at a simmer. And when I come back, we'll move on to the next steps. See you here in just 1 second. All right. So we let our soup simmer for 30 minutes and let all those fine, young, outstanding herbs and spices get to know each other. So the next thing we're going to do is take our potatoes, and we're going to take our 1 pound of chopped into 1/4 inch cube potatoes and put them into the pot. With the potatoes, I peeled them. You don't have to. I'm using red potatoes. You can leave them whole. Like I said, or not leave them whole, but leave the skins on. Completely up to you. I found it just as easy to peel them, so I did. Now we're gonna let those simmer. Well, first I want to try this. I want to see if we need some salt. So let me grab a spoon real quick. We'll see if we need any salt or pepper in this. Not as of yet, we don't. Well, you know what? We're going to put a little salt in it. And not much. Maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. Like I said, that beef broth has got salt in it, so we don't want to go throwing too much in there. I mean, unless you like a lot of salt, that's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and bring this back up to a simmer. Now that I got my potatoes in there. And we're going to let this cook for 20 minutes. That'll give those potatoes time to get kind of soft. And then we'll add our remaining ingredients. I'll be right back. Okay, so we've let this simmer for another 20 minutes. And that way we know our potatoes on to a good start. So the next thing we're going to do, we've only got a couple more steps to do, is take your green beans. Now, if you've got fresh green beans or frozen, you can put them in now. But since mine are technically a canned green bean, I waited to put them in. If they were frozen, you could have put them in with the potatoes and been done. But what I'm going to do, since these were already cooked and, well, canned and processed, they're already somewhat soft. So I'm just going to let these cook for another 10 minutes, and then we can put in the final 2 ingredients after we let these simmer for 10 minutes. All right, so we let that cook about 10 minutes. Give it a good stir here, see how we're doing. That we're trucking right along. So now the last thing we need to do is add our 1/2 cup of peas and our 1.5 cups of corn. And they were frozen, even though I've been letting them set out for a little bit. We still want to let them warm up and cook through. And it's going to take about another 5 minutes. And then we'll be ready to serve this beautiful creation. Man, it looks wonderful, doesn't it? It smells fantastic. I don't think the camera's doing it justice. But let me get this warmed up through, and we're going to look to make sure our carrots are, within spec. Oh, yeah. Everything's good. But we're going to warm up those, the corn and the peas, and let them mingle for about 5 minutes. And then when we come back, we'll take another look at it and serve some up. I'll be right back. Okay, so we let our peas and corn mingle for a little bit, get warmed up, and we are looking divine, if I do say so myself. So the last thing I want to do before we serve this up is I'm going to get that bay leaf out of there. If you're kind of new to cooking and you haven't really had an experience with a bay leaf, you don't really want to leave it in there. So they're not poisonous. You'll read, I read somewhere that they're poisonous. They're not poisonous. Right, there's the bay leaf, right? But it's done its job. We wanted its flavor. These edges here, this is not digestible. And these edges can be kind of sharp. They can hurt you on the inside. You don't want that. So it's just easier to take it out. It's just simply something for flavor. Nothing more, nothing less. You'll even read, some people will say that it doesn't even have flavor to it. That's wrong. If you have a good fresh bay leaf, it gives you lots of flavor. Alright, so I made up some rice while we were busy cooking our soup. I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom here. There are several things that you can serve this with, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But I wanted to do rice. So go ahead and get us a nice scoop of our vegetable soup there. And I'm going to get some broth because we've got like no broth. But we got everything else going on in there. There is that. Oh yeah, we're looking good. Look at that. That is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So let me get the camera turned up here and we will give this bad boy a try. Whoa, there you are. There you are. Yeah, it's always good to see your face. But what we're doing is much more important than you looking at this all the time. Although, you're quite attractive. I could look at you all day. So, anyhow, that being said, this is quite warm. I mean, as you can see, it's still steaming there, but that's all right. That's what we have the ability to blow for. All right, let's give this a shot. That is really good. Probably gonna put a little more salt in it, maybe some seasoning salt. But I can taste everything we put in this. I mean, hands down. But at the same time, it is quite hot. I would definitely recommend letting your bowl sit before you go indulging. It's a simple, easy recipe. I don't know if I'd call it a quick weeknight meal. It could be. The only reason why we did things in stages is because those vegetables cook at different times. But let's say you were using a fresh corn, and fresh green beans. You would have put all that in at the same time with the potatoes to let them cook, and then we would have put the peas in last to warm up. Because even fresh peas don't take that long to cook. Or even put that stuff in prior to the potatoes, depending on the beans. But there are so many variations to this. Let's say you don't like green beans. Don't put them in there. You don't like corn. Whatever. I mean, you put in vegetable soup what you like. That's the beauty of vegetable soup. You can make it without the beef for that matter and just go with tomato sauce and veggie broth. The possibilities are endless. I mean, really. So, that being said, give this a try. Let me know what you think. I'll post the ingredients down below, and that way you'll have the ingredients list. But it's not hard to do it all. If you do try this, let me know what you think. Be like, Brian, that was really good, or Brian, that was horrible, or Brian, I added this, or took away that, or this is what my family likes. You may like lima beans, and you put that in there. The possibilities are just truly endless to this. Tomorrow, I am going to try my hardest to do a cheesecake. I really want to do this animal cracker cheesecake. I think that would be something fun and delicious. And who doesn't like the animal crackers with the pink icing? They're an American staple and have been for 100+ years. So we'll give that a whirl. At any rate, I think it'll be fun, and we'll have a good time doing it. Been a long while since I've made a cheesecake, and I do so love to make cheesecakes. They're easy, they're fun. Even your first cake could be a cheesecake, and you can be successful. So, till tomorrow, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. Take some of this soup over to a neighbor or invite them over for some. You can have it with bread and butter. You could have this with grilled cheese sandwiches. You could have it with rice. You could just have it by itself in a bowl and be happy with a cup of something to drink. All the same, I guarantee you'll make a friend and they'll know that you are the world's greatest cook. I guarantee it. So, tomorrow for cheesecake. I'll see you then. All right? I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.